Good morning, good afternoon, or good evening. It's great to see you back here once again for Waybook's September product updates. The summer is nearing the end, depending on where you are in the world. I'm sure you've all had fantastic holidays. Here in the UK, we decided to stay in the UK and enjoy this lovely summer we've had here in London. So I hope you've also had the opportunity to have a great few weeks, maybe months off over the summer. But one thing I can say that has happened over this fantastic summer here in 2023 is that Waybook has had more product updates, and I cannot wait to share with you what's new, what's been happening, and what's changed in your Waybook account over in September 2023. So it's great to see so many familiar faces and names. For those of you who are regular on this month's session or these monthly sessions, welcome back. For those of you who are new to this session, welcome. My name's Mike. I'm one of the co-founders here at Waybook, and we like to take just about 30 minutes or so at the beginning or near the beginning of every month, really just to tell you what's happening, what's changed, and what's going on within your Waybook account. And also use this as an opportunity to really hear what you want. So if you've got any thoughts, if you've got any questions, if you've got any inspiration or pieces of information you want to share, please contact us throughout the session. Today, you can do that both in the Q&A, and I will keep my eyes on the Q&A to make sure that there's any information that I can share or add into this. Please do get involved in the chat. Feel free to say hello and share where you're from and where you're calling in from today. And of course, we like to launch a few polls throughout the session as well. So you should have a little poll there. But once we do that, let's have a look at what we're going to cover in today's session. So in September, the things that are either in your account or speeding their way to you is, number one, the AI structure builder. We have the Microsoft Teams app. We also have the new edit toolbar. We also have mobile web optimization. And finally, we now have Waybook Ask available already in all of your accounts for you to enable. I know we explored this last month and just a few updates on that. So that's what we're going to be covering today. And before we do, let's just take one brief second in terms of looking at what success looks like for your teams. Now, I've said this multiple times. I love speaking with people who are operating their businesses. And if they're using Waybook, then of course, that's even better. And a couple of conversations we've had recently, which really stick in my mind. One of them was from the fantastic John Burke. John is head of customer experience at a really amazing business, Wine Enthusiast. If you're in the US or I believe all of North America, you might be familiar with Wine Enthusiast and their amazing wine, of course, wine delivery. Now, John actually led the way for the whole business to systemize and centralize their knowledge within their Waybook. And what he experienced was they actually centralized all of their knowledge within just a few weeks of starting within their Waybook. He actually reckons that he's reduced the startup time to this period of onboarding and getting people up to speed in order for them to start to add value to just 20% on new hires. So that's not reduced it by 20%, it's reduced it by 80% to just 20%. And John said that in the first month alone, he thinks that they saw a $30,000 reduction in unnecessary returns and refunds by empowering his team with a decision matrix centralized within their Waybook. So we love hearing from you. If you've got any thoughts, questions, success stories, anything we can do to support, please do get in touch because we really do love having those conversations. Now, over to you on today's session. We have more people in operations than any other department. So if you're in operations, you are in the bulk. But we also have some second up, biggest group is owners and founders. And then we have a relatively equal amount of people in HR and other department heads. So most people are here to actually create and house their SOPs, but there's also lots of other people looking to onboard and just build this business playbook. And the vast majority of you are between 20 and 100 people with a spattering of other businesses in the other areas. So thanks for sharing who you are. And without further ado, let's get going. So the first area I want to share with you today is something we've been working on for a while. We've actually had it behind the scenes for quite a while, but it's now ready and available in your accounts to play with. It is the AI Structure Builder. Now, the reason why we started working on this was because if you've spoken to me or you've been on any of our Getting Started webinars, you'll know that I always seem to end up saying structure is everything. And there's a few things that we focus on within Waybook, and one of them is about structuring and centralizing your knowledge. And in order to do that, by creating a really clear and compelling structure on your Waybook in the left-hand side, it's the essential way for you to be able to identify not just the knowledge that you have, but also the areas of information that you would like to centralize as well. Now, in addition to this, we also wanted to give the ability for somebody like you who's leading the creation of your playbook to identify the unknown unknowns, so the best practices within your industry, within your areas of focus. So how we've achieved this is by essentially creating an AI-based playbook structure builder by tapping into best practice of millions of different playbooks and, of course, accessing various different AIs and large language models. And that is available in your accounts automatically. You can access this under the AI Writer when you're in edit mode. So the best way to show you this is to just show you this. So let me just jump over into this Waybook account here. You'll notice that we are in reader mode. We're on the new dashboard, which we discussed last month. If I toggle over into edit mode here, you see that I can add new documents, subjects, categories. I can access the templates. But over to the structure builder, we've got the document writer. So this is actually writing specific procedures, policies, or know-how knowledge within that. But if we head into the structure builder, we'll see here that this is essentially creating the structure, which we refer to as the subjects, so your kind of collections or your groups of information, and the individual titles of the documents that are relevant to go to that structure. Now, there's a few ways you can approach this. If you're early on within your Waybook journey, you can say, and I'm going to do this because it's an example we had on there, write a playbook for a legal practice. Now, the key thing with this piece of technology here is the more specific you get, the more valuable it will be in terms of proposing the structures it thinks you should have. So it would suggest that in order to have a good playbook, you need to have your policies and procedures, your legal services, your operations, and your marketing and biz dev. Now, within these core areas of focus, you can then, of course, have your marketing plan, your client acquisition strategy, your business development process, and you've basically got these core pieces of knowledge and documentation. Now, say, for example, we wanted to add something in here. So this is where I'm backing myself into a corner of having to know more about the operations of legal practices. But let's say add court procedures. Now, we can actually continue to integrate and communicate with the AI structure builder, and actually it will continue to actually optimize the information. So we've created a new subject of court procedures, and then we've identified the individual documents or the individual processes or pieces of information that you would need as a legal practice with court procedures. So here we've got how we file documents with the court, what the court hearing preparation is, the legal research for court cases. Now, you'll see these tick boxes alongside, and that basically means once we've got to a structure that we think could be interesting, we can then untick or tick the individual subjects and documents that we want to add to our Waybook. And if we click add, that will then add those relevant subjects into the left-hand side. So let's say we just want to add that court procedure. We click on add, and you'll see it will go into the first category, which are these bits here, the first category within your Waybook. Now, of course, this is a structure builder, so it's not got all of the individual content, but it almost gives us a to-do list of the documents that we would like to have. So then you can either add an owner and kind of ask those people to kind of create the documents, or of course you can import or use the AI writer in order to generate new information, or of course write the document within your Waybook. So that's one example, is if we were starting. Now I'm just going to head back to do one other example, and this is if you're looking to you're mid-flow, you've got a structure, you've got your Waybook, but you are perhaps introducing a new area of expertise, perhaps a new marketing channel, a new course of piece of information. You can actually ask for write let's say, the procedures for, let's say, social media marketing on Instagram. So again, we can go really granular, really specific. I've obviously not mentioned what it's for, what sort of business, so that would specify it. And essentially, we will then just say, okay, look, we don't need a full playbook. It's just one subject. And in that, we've got the overall procedure, creating posts, scheduling posts, and engaging with followers. And these are the 3 core pieces of knowledge or information that you can then add to your structure and then continue to build that out and disseminate that with your team. So ladies and gentlemen, that is your structure builder. It is available for free, included in all plans in your Waybook. You can click into AI Writer, Structure Builder, and then have a little thought. So this might actually remove months of time of designing out your Waybook, or it might actually just boost a bit of research and support a bit of research time in identifying what core piece of knowledge you want to put within your Waybook. So that's number 1, Structure Builder, available now. Check it out. The next piece of knowledge, or the next feature which is going out, is actually the Microsoft Teams integration. So this is very exciting. We focus on a few things within Waybook. One of them is about enabling it to be really easy for you to centralize and structure and create your content. So this curation and creation process. And that's things like the structure builder, the AI writer, the templates, the editor, things like that. The other core part that we really focus on within Waybook is really enabling you to have this single source of truth, and crucially, making sure that that single source of truth is as close to your team members as possible. We really believe that if you have a single source of truth and people don't have the right access, they don't know where it is, they can't interface with it, then you might as well not have that single source of truth. Because as soon as it's easier for somebody to ask a colleague or go somewhere else or do something else, then essentially you've lost that momentum, and that knowledge then lives outside of your Waybook. Now, we know that many of you using Waybook actually are using MS Teams to communicate within your communication and your flow. So now we have a natively integrated MS Teams app, which basically means that you can search, you can share, and you can access your content from within the Teams app directly in line with all of your conversations. Now, this is available, so you can actually get this. It's available for free in all of the accounts, the native integration. You can actually get an early access to it within through customer support, but you will be able to get this from the MS Teams marketplace literally within the next week, so by the 20th of September. So it depends on if you want to wait for the marketplace, or you can do that now. Now, interestingly, we don't use Teams internally. So although we have various different test accounts, and obviously this has been developed internally, I also just want to use this as an opportunity to show you the Slack integration. So we run on Slack internally, and I know most people here are either operating on Slack or on Teams. So I'm going to use this as an opportunity to show you how it works from a Slack perspective. Now, this is the same experience as you would expect on Teams. So this is a chat with one of my colleagues, Dan. And let's imagine that Dan asks for, where are the logo files? So if I'm saying, let's just find these files for Dan, I would literally just search /Waybook, write logo or whatever he's asking for, and then let's say, okay, these are the brand guidelines. I can either open that step, or if I just know that's the right document, I can share that to the channel. And you'll see here that I've just replied to Dan directly in line with the document. Now, this basically means that you don't need to go anywhere. You don't need to leave your chat or your MS Teams. You can be really, really in your workflow. But most importantly, the information you're sharing is way more in-depth and valuable than perhaps you would do by writing a specific answer, which might slowly change over time. Okay, so that's your kind of introduction to MS Teams and also to your Slack integration. Heading back to our third feature for today, that's rolled out in September. This is one that actually is quite a small change, but I believe it might make quite a big difference for many of you who are power users and power editors within your Waybook. And this is essentially a new edit bar within your Waybook account. So you will be familiar, if you're already in your Waybook account, that you can add a huge amount of different types of knowledge and piece of information. But now you're able to actually do that way easier by the new edit toolbar. So if I just look at why we started doing this, essentially is because we want to always encourage you to have the tools you need to create really rich media, engaging, dynamic documents. So yes, text-based documents are good, but the more we can actually make that engaging, add images, videos, checklists, call-out boxes, all of that, the better. And we also know that you're busy people, so making that easier and faster to do is really important to us. So you'll notice here, and we've got this entirely new accessible toolbar, and that is something that is available, will be rolled out to all accounts before the end of the month, but actually you can ask support to turn it onto your account in advance, but it will be available in all accounts within the next week. So I'm just going to show you what that looks like because I do have it open here. So this is, of course, in my demo Waybook. If I kind of toggle between read and edit mode here, you'll notice that this toolbar here appears. Now, this toolbar wasn't there before. All of the features were there, but they were hidden behind this plus icon where you can plus and kind of get to all of the core pieces of knowledge and information. So any way that you've traditionally been editing your Waybook, you can still do that. Both the plus or for the real power users amongst you will know that if you hit slash, it will actually open that menu and you can either select or you can type. So say you want to add image, we search for IM, and then it will actually load that insert or whatever you're looking to do there. So in here, you've got all of those options. You've got your header bar, your lists, your emojis, your tables, your images, your PDFs, your web embeds, your video embeds, your call-out boxes, your checklist, your code snippets. I go on and on. And if you then want to edit your knowledge even more, by highlighting that text, you'll then get the secondary toolbar, which actually gives you much more powerful information in order for you to be able to add Waybook links or justify and edit that text. So hopefully that's a great way for you to actually just really increase the ease and speed of you making your documentation incredibly valuable for you and your teams. Once again, that will be available in all accounts. I'd love to actually, okay, cool, we've seen it in the chat. I'd love to actually hear what you guys think about on this. To be fully transparent with you, we're not entirely sure whether to add this in for all accounts or whether to enable you to toggle it on if you wanted to do that. And that's largely because we know once you're used to being able to edit and create your documents in a certain way, people don't often like the change. But I'm seeing from a few people in the chat here that it looks good. Amazing. Okay, that's 100% of people who've messaged so far in the chat. You can all see one another. Think that that's a good option. Very interesting. Like the look of the feature. Thank you, Carrie, Kathy, Amy. We will ensure that gets into all of your accounts very soon. So let's head back into our fourth feature that's rolling out to all of you in September, and that is mobile web optimization. Now, I've told you why we do this sort of thing before, because essentially it's really important to have a single source of truth, and also keeping knowledge as close to you as possible is really important. So actually the way that we can do that is by making sure that all of the features of Waybook are in the hand of you and your team. Now, you will know that we've always had very good mobile support, but that mobile support has always been on the reader-only side, and we've always suggested that edits are done on web, where you can kind of collate, design, and bring your information in. However, what we've done in the last month, and actually a little bit longer than this, is we've done an entire overhaul of the mobile optimized website, and also that now works across all devices, including both reader and edit mode, and all of the new features that have come out more recently, including Ask, Flows, Document Explorer, and the dashboard as well. So in order to experience this, this is available to everybody. This is already rolled out and in all of your accounts, and it's just available on your mobile devices. So I can show you this by actually sharing a screen in a mobile size. So if I just share this screen here on that same document, you'll notice here that I have this same familiar look and feel. I can even restart that document. And this might be the first document, or if we go to the dashboard, we've got exactly the same look and feel. All of this is natively used within mobile. If I click on this individual document, so the next step in my start here, I can read, I can watch, I can review, I can mark as complete, and that will actually take me through this clear and consistent process in a really easy to use marketing mobile style. I can navigate between things, but crucially, I can also go into edit mode, and I'm able to make all of these edits, drag and drop, everything that you can do within desktop and web, you can now do within mobile. That also includes you going through all of your content and actually managing it in that way. Flows, of course, you'll be able to do that. And of course, you've got the Waybook Ask as well, which I'm going to talk to you about in just a minute's time. So that is available in all of your accounts right now, and we're really excited to see how you feel with that. We know already from the usage within the analytics that mobile usage has massively improved and massively increased across all of your Waybooks, because hey, let's get that knowledge as close to your team as physically possible. So the final thing I wanted to cover today, and then we will go to questions. I know we've got a few things that I will come back to in the chat. If you've got any other thoughts or questions, please do put that in there. But the final thing I just want to talk about is, once again, Waybook Ask. Now, if you were on yesterday or last month's session, you would have seen this already. But here is just another quick look. And the reason why we're explaining this again today is because it's now available to enable on all of your accounts. So Waybook Ask originated because we realized that the search feature of Waybook is incredibly popular and incredibly powerful. If you want to find any document, any information, anything like that, you can do that instantly within your Waybook to keep that clear and consistent. But asking people the question of, are you searching for the document or are you searching for the answer? We noticed that in quite a few scenarios, people were looking for the answer rather than trying to navigate to the document. So, of course, we wanted to ensure that those questions that now come to Waybook can be entirely removed from your team, because we identified that the repetitive questions for you, your managers, your colleagues, are probably one of the biggest costs to business efficiency, and also just people not feeling great about not being empowered by the knowledge they need. So what Waybook Ask enables you to do is turn all of your knowledge in your Waybook into a powerful AI chatbot that's fluent in your company knowledge. This really is the future of knowledge management within business, and we're so excited to bring this for you in all of your accounts. So the key things to remember here is that Waybook Ask is private to your business. So even though we use AI sub-processors, none of your knowledge or documentation is stored outside of Waybook. So even though these sub-processors will process your knowledge, no AIs are trained on it, no knowledge is stored outside of Waybook secure servers, and everything always remains your property. That's the core thing. The other thing that's just essentially important here is that this is entirely custom to your user permissions, which basically means if you've got lots of information in your Waybook, but actually you've got a particular team member that only has access to a few core areas, that's basically the core piece of knowledge or information that will be available to them, not everything else within your answer. So the way you can access that is actually available in all of your accounts now. So in order to show you this once again, I'm actually going to head into our Waybook just to make sure that the information I'm getting from Waybook Ask is real information. So you can toggle into Ask here. This will be available in all of your accounts. One of the account admins will just have to enable it on, and it will take about 10-15 minutes in order for the Waybook AI to ingest and learn on your documentation. And then here, you and all of your team can ask any questions as like. So one example I like to give is, what are our regular meetings? And the reason why I find this particularly interesting is because even though we have this information in terms of what the core meetings are, we also then have information for meetings for specific teams and information on different external meetings. So what you'll notice here is that this answer is customized to me because Waybook knows what knowledge I do and don't have access to. So you'll see here that we've got these regular meetings. Here are the regular ones. And actually, you'll notice that these are pulled from 3 different steps. So it's not just finding that information. And if I ask now what happens on the Monday morning stand-up, you'll notice here again that it will continue to dive deeper into those documents and give me an answer. This is what happens, this is when it is, this is what's expected. And again, that's been pulled from 4 different documents. So it's not just finding that information and returning it as a search, it's intelligently understanding that and passing that back to you. How can I best prepare? So I have no doubt that many of you are already familiar with the powers of ChatGPT and other generative AI tools. And really what this does is turn your knowledge within your Waybook over to your business, and empowering all of your teams essentially with an AI chatbot assistant. So that is largely it for today's session. These are the fundamental things that have been pushed out into your Waybook and are still being coming out over the next week in your Waybook account in September. You know, we're always building, we're always working on a few things. So just to give you a little teaser of what's next before I come to the chat and answer some of your questions here. Number 1, that's coming out maybe in the next week, so maybe at the end of September. If not, I'm going to be talking about it in November, is reader feedback. So you'll notice on the Waybook Ask answers, and I'll actually just jump back, you'll see here that we have, did this answer your question or not? Here we can say yes or no, and this actually helps the AI learn. However, what you are able to do now, or you will soon be able to do, is your readers will be able to, at the end of a document, say whether it was useful or not, and also share any thoughts or feedback, so the owners and the editors of that document will be able to get that clear and consistent information to identify those knowledge gaps and also improve the documentation and knowledge of your team. The second part, or the second feature which is going out, is actually commenting on documents. So this is actually going to be a huge change in terms of the power of how you can communicate with your team when collaborating on documentation. So literally within the next 2 weeks, you will be able to open up a chat screen and be able to communicate with your team, tag team members, and see all of the activities in a chat and an activity stream on each individual document. Now, the reason why this is really valuable is because when you hit that publish and it creates a new version of your document, it will then store all of that chat and that communication against that version. So say, for example, in 3 months' time, we've changed a process, a procedure, or a policy, and we want to go back. We might say, well, why did we think that was a better idea? Why did we change to, you know, the buy buttons are green rather than blue, or whatever that may be? We've all been there. And you can just open up your chat and you can look at the history of the thinking behind the change of that knowledge, and then you can decide whether you to revert or change it moving forward. And then one of the other things that's continually happening, and I'm sure you've seen and hopefully enjoy, is the improvements to the overall interface and so much more. So there's so much happening within Waybook, and we really are focused on those fundamental things about making it easier for you to centralize and structure your knowledge, to create new information, to pass that information to your team in the most efficient ways, and also ultimately to keep your business on the same page. So, ladies and gentlemen, that's the end of what I have to share with you. I am going to jump in the chat. So with that, if anyone's got any thoughts, any questions, please do jump into the chat right now. So Kathy, you asked earlier on, can you use the structure builder even if you already have a number of items in Waybook? Absolutely. So what you'll notice within the structure builder is when you're creating the structure, it will basically always preview you here on the left-hand side, and then you choose, so let's say write a playbook for a pet shop. You basically choose what you do and don't put in, and that will then essentially, okay, so we've got animal care, inventory, right, it knows it's pet shops. So we can then actually choose what we do and don't put in. Anything you do or don't put in will actually then just go into the left-hand navigation. And so I'm just adding this small bit here, you'll see once again, it will go into the bottom of your category. Now, with that, you can, of course, move the order, you can move the structure, and actually you can then drag and drop the core documentation between your subjects. So absolutely, it doesn't matter what you've got in. It does just mean you might end up with a couple of duplicates, but of course you can untoggle that and not put them in at all, or you can drag and drop. or of course use the 3-dot menu here to move, duplicate, delete, and kind of optimize your structure of your Waybook. So absolutely. Amy, I think you asked a similar thing. We already started building out the Waybook, but the team is experimenting with it to see if it can help you better organize your knowledge. Yeah, and actually that is the whole thing. I think one thing we would say is that structure is really important within your Waybook, but because it's quite flexible, quite often we see that this can grow and adapt with the business. So ultimately, once you've got your knowledge structured into largely departmental or team-based information, that's when you can start to say, well, do you know what? Maybe this document, which is really in the depth of social media marketing, should actually go up to the marketing category, or in fact, we put it in company messaging, which goes to all people, and you can actually then just drag and drop these documents to optimize the structure. Now, it's important to remember that when you're optimizing your structure, you can also manage your team members' structure to make sure that people have access to the specific pieces of knowledge and information they need. So on that example of marketing executives, these 3 people can see these 8 subjects, but we can actually be really specific and say, well, in this office and admin, we don't want those people to see office security, but we want them to be able to edit the GDPR compliance document. And then that means that you can actually have a really clear and consistent structure that works for the operations of your business, and the groups of your business basically mirror the teams, the human structure of your organization, and you can just match those together. If you ever have any thoughts or questions, or want any support with that, please do let us know. Some of our team are literally dedicated to helping you build out your structures and making sure that you and the team are set up to get the best out of your Waybook. Then we had a few chats about the toolbar being great, way more user-friendly for team members who aren't familiar with the platform. A good improvement in editing. Content editing is a pain in the traditional way. Okay, that's great to hear, Stephen, thank you. For example, to change a paragraph heading, you need to change the elements of the heading. Yes, we heard that specifically. I was on a call with some Waybook users, and they said, I'm clicking 2 or 3 times, and that was, you know, that's now once. So this is a great way of making that change. And also, I just want to use this as a point to reiterate, if you do have any thoughts like that, we genuinely love to hear from you. So if there's anything that you think is great, or you're trying to achieve something else, you don't know how to do it, your voices are very loud internally, so please do let us know. That on the AI stuff, yes, absolutely. So the key thing, Stephen, on the Waybook Ask is, once you're getting those answers, it sources the information. So we all know that AI is very powerful, but the question is, how accurate is the information? Waybook Ask has been trained to entirely be based on the knowledge within your Waybook, but of course there can always be some sort of hallucinations within the AI. We can always ask it the questions in various different ways that might force the AI to generate something which is not meant to do. It will communicate in a way that works for you, but based on the information. But regardless of what information it's sharing, it always sources back the information. So if there's something that you don't feel like is entirely right, or actually you need a bit more information, you can either communicate on the chat or jump in to the sources of that information. And then the final question or comment we've got here from Kathy, is there a way to reset a user to clear out the progress of the items they reviewed in Waybook? This is a great question. Currently, no. So what you are able to do is you can, of course, amend or optimize that information. So you can edit the piece of knowledge, and that would update it. But that would update it for everyone. So if I understand your question right there, Kathy, you almost want to say, Mike, he's been in and he's completed these documents, but you want to reset the kind of core piece of information just for me. If I've requested that or replayed that back Currently, no, but that definitely is something on our roadmap. Once again, the fact you've asked, it bumps itself up. We do have the due dates within Waybook, so you are able to set due dates. And once you set a due date, we're also starting the ability for you to then refresh the status. So as a reader, I'm able to reset my own progress, and soon you will be able to reset individual users' progress without updating the document for everybody else. So, ladies and gentlemen, that brings us to the end of today's session. Thanks so much for your questions, your thoughts, your comments. It really makes this very interesting and valuable for us, as well as, I hope, interesting for you as well. So thank you so much for your time and attention. Once again, I've been Mike, one of the co-founders here at Waybook. We will be back next month with the product updates for October. I'm excited to get those changes, the user feedback, the commenting, maybe the reset progress. Do communicate and stay in touch throughout the month as well. We've got loads of other content, loads of other ways of supporting you. But until then, have a phenomenal one. Thank you so much, and we look forward to seeing you soon. Take care. Bye-bye.